What is the boundary between reality and imagination? Can a man's dreams reshape the world around him, or do they simply color his perceptions of a mundane existence? Dive into the whimsical and often bewildering world of Don Quixote, a man for whom the line between the real and the imagined not only blurs but disappears entirely. In the heart of Spain, an aging gentleman named Alonso Quixano becomes enamored with stories of chivalrous knights. His obsession grows so intense that he decides to revive the noble profession of knight-errantry himself. Armed with rusty armor and a dilapidated old horse, Rocinante, he renames himself Don Quixote and sets out to perform heroic deeds, accompanied by his faithful, albeit somewhat bewildered, squire, Sancho Panza. One of Don Quixote's most iconic misadventures involves him mistaking windmills for menacing giants. With a battle cry and lance in hand, he charges, only to be flung to the ground when his lance gets caught in a windmill's sail. Despite the fall, his spirit remains unbroken, convinced that an enchanter turned the giants into windmills to thwart his noble efforts. In another humorous escapade, Don Quixote encounters a group of harmless sheep, which he fervently believes to be an enemy army. With grand declarations of valor, he charges into the unsuspecting flock, causing chaos while proudly believing himself to be in the heat of battle. Meanwhile, Sancho tries, often in vain, to bring his master back to reality, but usually ends up swept along in the fantastical delusions. The journey is filled with such colorful incidents. Don Quixote frees a group of galley slaves, believing he is liberating oppressed knights. He mistakes inns for castles and ordinary peasants for princesses and lords. Each adventure is driven by his unwavering belief in the chivalric principles he has read about, and each results in a series of misunderstandings and mishaps, providing both comedy and pathos. Despite the often absurd outcomes of his quests, Don Quixote's intentions are invariably noble. He genuinely strives to do good, to protect the helpless, and to right the wrongs of the world as he sees them. His squire, Sancho Panza, provides a down-to-earth counterbalance to Don Quixote's lofty ideals. Yet he is deeply loyal, and often finds himself inspired by his master's indomitable spirit. As the sun sets on their adventures, Don Quixote and Sancho Panza return to their village. Although they have not achieved great victories in a conventional sense, they have lived a story rich with lessons about the nature of bravery, loyalty, and the power of holding true to one's ideals. Don Quixote's journey teaches us that reality may be a matter of perspective, and that sometimes seeing the world through a lens of fantasy can be just as important as seeing it as it is. Don Quixote's tale endures in the hearts of readers not just for its humor, but for its poignant exploration of the human condition. His adventures, misinterpreted as they may be, remind us that there is something profoundly beautiful about striving to make the world a better place, even when the world seems not to notice. In the end, perhaps it is Don Quixote who sees the world most clearly, for he sees it not only as it is, but as it could be.